There's a really insane endgame farming method that will give you the coolest looking max level gear in no time in Dying Light 2. I'm going to show everything you need to know about in this video, including a few more locations for artifact farming, but also for more money and resources, since you will probably need that to upgrade your current gear so that you can make that endgame farm way easier and way faster. Now, once you finish the main story in Dying Light 2, a few things happen, and one of the first that you will notice is the fact that now all enemies and encounters on the map will start scaling at your current character's rank, which means that if you were previously having an easy time to one-shot enemies, now it's probably going to take 2 or 3 hits and you will want to maybe min-max your build a little bit. Not too much, but luckily there's new endgame encounters, at least one of them that I've noticed immediately after finishing the main story, which looks something like this. It has its own unique marker on the map, it also pops up randomly, but it features way tougher enemies and a higher concentration of them in one single spot. Usually it involves renegades, which now can also spawn on all of the parts of the map, but at the same time, at the end of the encounter, you're gonna be able to unlock a really cool chest that more often than not will guarantee an artifact, and what's most important, that artifact will be higher rank than your current characters. It means that you can also get rank 9, which seems to be the maximum right now in the game, very early on, even like rank 6, like how I was in this footage right here. But moving on to number 2, just because we talked about the end game, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do some preparation in the meantime, especially for some of the upgrades in the game that will make this farming of the high-end enemies way easier. And specifically, a lot of you guys have pointed out that the large windmill right here south of Trinity is an amazing money farming method early on, but I would argue it's amazing in the end game still, specifically because it has a really cool epic convoy right next to it, but at the same time there's also 2 dark hollow locations on the right and the left side of the windmill that provide a ton of jewelry, crystals and other ways to make money. So especially so, going over these dark hollows, of course they are the best in the game at just farming money, but these 2 specific ones right here are of rare quality, which means they are a bit more challenging, but they provide a lot more resources. Especially the one just southwest of the windmill, it has 2 crystal spots right inside of the building, but also quite a lot of treasure chests that you can go ahead and open without needing any lockpicks. The only one that has a lockpick is the epic upstairs that you can go ahead and open up, and there's a huge room inside filled with loot that you can take right away, including the crystal on the side, so definitely make sure you grab those since they sell for the most amount of money. Also pay attention to that convoy. As I've said, these will always respawn, so you can take the loot over and over again, and it's usually going to be at least of epic quality, if not above. In this case, take down the enemies. There's a few rare ones in there, including a goon that will give you some high-end trophies, but also pay attention to the 3 vehicles that will give you some extra loot, and of course the crystal on the side of the ambulance for some extra money. But moving on to number 3, there's another really amazing method that's even easier to farm trophies from the zombies, especially since you're gonna need thousands upon thousands to upgrade just a few of these blueprints in the game, especially the mods that are going to be amazing in the end game, but also so much needed. And specifically, there's a really amazing one that one of you guys pointed out, which is back at Killian's safe house right here in the center of Trinity. And specifically, we're gonna be using this bridge area right here in front of his house for a few reasons. One of them, it's because we're gonna bottleneck all of the high-end enemies on it, but at the same time we're also going to make use of the UV lamps right behind it. So what you'll want to do is to simply jump down on the street level, just smack a hauler in the face until they start the chase, and then climb quickly back up and stay in the middle of this bridge right here. And what you will quickly notice is that regular infected will not be able to reach this place, which leaves a lot more room for some of the rare ones like the virals and above. And of course they will rush in, but if you use something like a spark upgrade, you can just like stun lock them really easily, which leaves room for a lot of damage, and you're gonna be able to like just bottleneck the entire area and take them down super easily. In case one of them leaps forward, just do a backstab or a step to the side, or better yet, try to interrupt before they do that, since you have a couple of seconds before they actually jump. At rank 3 of Chase, you're going to notice volatiles starting to spawn. Now typically at this point I just reset the fight since I just can't be bothered with them. We can obviously use traps, UV lamps, and maybe even like throwing daggers to stagger them, but personally I just like resetting it since the typical infected are way easier to take down, and it's a much better method to grab a ton of infected trophies very fast. And this brings us to the final farming method on the list, and possibly my favorite in the game since it involves just back-to-back high-end artifacts, but it will also include one slight spoiler, so if you don't want to see that, turn away and come back to the video once you finish the main story, or otherwise just don't watch from this point on. So are you ready? Because here I go. Basically, towards the end of the game, you're gonna be given the option to either help or not the renegade leader, and if you choose to not help him, and even more so to remove the flooded areas, you're gonna remove all of the water in these 4 districts right here, which will open up a completely separate section of the map that I believe you cannot access otherwise. And this is the one that you will want to go ahead and farm in, because basically it's gonna give you access to something called sunken airdrops, and there's not 1 or 2 over there, but at least 10 from my calculations. I think I've discovered all of them, but I've discovered 10 so far, and the best part about them is that they all completely respawn, or well, most of them completely respawn unless you run into a bug like how I did, but most of them do respawn and give you the highest chance to get not just the best looking gear in the game, but also artifact quality and up to rank 9, which seems to be the maximum so far. Each and every single one of these will also involve an encounter the first time you complete them, which is either going to be a goon, but for the most part will involve a demolisher. And for all of the demolisher fans, here's your chance to test your might against them. They are extremely tough, which is why I gave you all of the previous methods to farm gear, prepare yourself, because these are quite challenging to take down. And once you do that you're gonna probably get some bad gear, but the second time you loot them, it's going to be either epic or artifact quality, and more often than not, it's artifact quality, at least for me. This is one of the brawler sets that I was able to almost complete. Most of it is level 9, which again seems to be the highest, but with a couple of exceptions, most of these completely respawn. And you also don't have to lockpick again the second time. You just go in, jump, avoid the encounter, grab the items inside, and you can waltz off to the next one really easily. Also, on a final note, there's a couple of other tips that I have for the location for some extra loot. First of all, pay close attention to this side of the map, since there's going to be a radio antenna that you can unlock, which will immediately reveal all of the inhibitors in this location, and there's going to be quite a handful of them, which are definitely worth taking if you want to upgrade your HP a lot more to survive a little bit longer in these locations. At the same time, also unlock this train station just north of this region. This is going to be the closest fast travel point, and you'll definitely want it if you want to like reach this area easier and way faster. Also, totally check out this small military structure right here at the base of the building that holds the GRE anomaly in the red zone, just north of the same area, simply because this will give you access to another respawning artifact weapon, which could come in handy since you're gonna be visiting this place a lot anyway, as well as access to 3 epic chests that again have a rather decent chance at more artifacts every single time. And yeah, totally let me know down below in the comments what other farming method are you using right now, especially in the end game, or are you doing something different than I am. And at the same time, if you enjoyed this video at any point, a subscribe to the channel would be super appreciated. As I've said, we're trying to reach 400k subs by the end of 2022, and we can't do it without your help. This is it, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.